does this help the judicial system in Guyana?
Well, we heard from the gentleman who represents the DEA that they are going to be focused on intelligence and evidence gathering. Successful prosecution in the courts depends on tangible, credible, cogent, compelling evidence. And it is this effort that is going to, as we heard, lead to the presentation of that kind of evidence in the courts, which will ultimately secure convictions where people are charged for justifiable reasons.
The Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, is considered as one of the world's top or most successful institutions that deal with drug enforcement internationally. Mere minutes after the launch of the Guyana office, Chancellor Justice Carl Singh dubbed it an absolute plus for Guyana and noted that training of the judiciary would be a top priority. How soon, if any, are you folks going to be having some training done in the perspective of DEA judicial system in terms of the magistracy as well as the general judicial system?
Yes, it's a very good question, and that was the subject of the conversation with Ambassador Holloway and myself just now, because we will need to train and equip our magistrates for the kinds of cases that are going to be brought as a result of the efforts and the initiatives of the DEA and the local police. I believe very soon, is to answer your question very shortly, that training is likely to begin.
Meanwhile, U.S. Ambassador Perry Holloway reminded that the DEA agents will not be going around kicking down doors and dragging people out onto the streets. Rather, they will play a major role in working along with the local agencies in tackling the drug trade and providing information to the local agencies that will benefit the efforts to counter the narco trade. How should Guyanese view this office coming to Guyana?
I think Guyanese should view this as a very favorable development in Guyana because, as others have said today here, it is an international crime. These are transnational groups. There's no way Guyana, working on its own, can totally confront this issue properly. You need the help not only of the United States and DEA, but of neighboring countries and countries throughout the region. So this is the first step that's going to allow information sharing, sharing of resources, sharing of training and assistance. And that's the only way you can tackle these bad guys because they don't recognize national borders. Here, again, their focus is on information in cases that have a U.S. link. But they regularly do. There are people here, for instance, who are committing a crime in the U.S. all the time. I mean, there are people that take drugs in their stomach on planes. You see them in the newspaper. So they're interested in those people because they're committing a crime in the U.S. even though they may be here. So if they identify someone here that we have information on the United States for a case, they will work with the local counterparts, whether it be KANU or the National Police, to get the proper arrest warrants to arrest the person and then to prosecute them either here or maybe in the States, depending on the nature of the crime and the information we have.
Mondale Smith, HGP Nightly News.